It is a good thing I did not have Russell Wilson as my quarterback because
This week.
Yes, exactly. This week for sure. Or any week that he's played because it hasn't been great. He hasn't put it up to numbers. What?
Well, week 2?
Yeah, I mean week 2, but I need 3 weeks of good play.
That's true.
And yeah, it's true. From an individual standpoint, did put up some pretty good numbers.
Yes.
But he has struggled with the deep ball.
Right.
He has thrown some bloopers, and he has now found himself on the bench, which I think we all knew this was going to happen. We all knew that the Jaxson Dart era was going to begin sooner rather than later. I didn't think it would be this soon. I think we'd even talked about this and kind of circled a bye week, which was around week 7-ish in the schedule. But it has been so bad. The Giants are 0-3 outside of that game from Dallas, which was a brutal, brutal loss for the G-men. They made it official. Brian Daboll says they are going with Jaxson Dart. It is not just an opportunity. It is his job now to lose, I guess. I mean, he doesn't even have to lose it. He just said it's his job for the rest of the season because he's a rookie. They want to get him to work. So now the New York Giants move on to the rookie Jaxson Dart.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of sub-stories here. You said it best, I think, and I mentioned it yesterday, the timing of this is incredible. The timing of this is incredible for so many reasons. Like you said, obviously, it was almost like an empty 450 and 3 touchdowns in week 2 for Russ, but it was his career high, and he's a guy who's probably going to go to the Hall one day. So he's not so far off being able to do it. They also paid him $10.5 million to come in for what now amounts to 3 starts. So he made $3 million and change a start, which is pretty incredible. And now it's the schedule over the next 6 weeks. Visit from the 3-0 Chargers, 2 trips with the Super Bowl champion 3-0 Eagles, and you got the Niners at 3-0 a couple of weeks down the road. So that's going to be Jaxson Dart's welcome to the NFL, and that baby's a doozy. And you know better than anybody in the world what that New York crowd can be like if you get off to a bad start or you look overmatched. And there's no going back now, right? He plays horrible. You can't go back to Russell now.
No, that's why I was kind of surprised that Daboll said it was his job and it was going to be the rest of the season because if you do have to go back to Jameis or Russ, then it looks really bad. Then you look completely overwhelmed. That's why it didn't seem necessary. Why would you make that announcement? You don't have to tell anybody what your plans are in 2, 3, 4 weeks down the road. Just let him go out there and say, yeah, he's starting this weekend. He's going to get an opportunity, and we'll see how it goes. And if he plays, great, great. If he struggles, we'll evaluate then. I'm sure that Brian Daboll doesn't want to get the questions every single week. Is he starting again? Is he starting again? He's trying to put that to bed. But I thought that was a foolish decision to let it known, hey, we're just going to give him the reins the rest of the season.
Well, you got to pick your poison if you're Brian Daboll, right? Because Brian Daboll now, it's either get those questions and prolong this, which is inevitable. It's going to happen at some point. See, in my head, I always saw it being they let this hard stretch come, and then they put Jaxson Dart in so they have a mulligan for this year. Because they're still people. They're coaches and GMs at the end of the day, but they are still people, and they know their jobs are at stake this year. So what's their best saving grace is Jaxson Dart comes in and looks real competent, and he plays well in their system, and Giants brass can say, oh, there's a future here, there's a plan. Let's not disrupt Jaxson Dart's growth, and we'll stay with Daboll and Shane. I thought that happens around week 10, but now they're going to send him in there to take his lumps, and I don't know. You think he got pressure from somewhere else to do that?
Yes, I think he got pressure from media. I think he got pressure from fans, and I think he got pressure from the higher-ups in the Giants organization. They did not want to see a losing product. So the way I thought they would do it was it's sort of statistically, as long as there's a chance to be in the playoff hunt, then you sort of go with whoever gives you the best chance to win. Because believe it or not, I do think Russ probably gives you the best chance to win.
Right.
Because he's a veteran. He did have the big gains at the Giants. They did lose late in that game. And the defense, it still was an issue in that game.
Sure.
But it's not like losing to the Chiefs or Commanders are awful losses.
No.
But at 0-3, I thought they would have given him one more week. One more week because it was the Chargers, one of the better defenses in the country. I almost don't like Jaxson Dart starting at home either. I'd almost rather start on the road against the Saints the following week than roll him out there where if it goes south, all of a sudden those fans are going to start booing and you'll start hearing the boo birds, and that can impact a young player.
Yeah, in some cities, being on your home turf is an advantage, but as you know, in New York, in the Garden, in Giant Stadium, at Yankee Stadium, if things start to go bad, those fans let you know exactly what they think. They do not sugarcoat it. Jaxson Dart, I get a sense, I mean, I love this preseason. We talked about that. So he did show flashes, which is what probably helped it. I mean, the fans right now they're ready. Every time Jaxson Dart comes in for one play and comes off the field, he's getting booed. So, I mean, it's getting booed that he's coming off. So, yeah, I mean, they had to make the move at some point. I guess if you're going to do, again, it seems to me like this next 6-week gauntlet is going to be a tough one. Jaxson Dart did put a quote out today. I'm going to read it for you. Makes me feel kind of good about him. You know, anybody can say the right thing, but if you're in New York, you better have thick skin. And he says, I really don't feel pressure. Pressure is given to those who play at a high level. The best players in the world are the ones that are involved with the word pressure. So it sounds great from a quarterback perspective, and we've talked about it before. I'm of the belief pressure is a privilege. If you don't want pressure, go grab a job at a local gas station. And that's not a knock on people who do that. But if you don't want to come to work and feel pressure, an NFL starting quarterback is not for you. So, I mean, I like that.
I will say he doesn't have that much pressure on him because the bar has been set so low. I think the season is sort of a wash. If he plays poorly, he's a rookie, right? And they're not going to cut him. You know, so I think he goes in there as long as he doesn't embarrass himself. Like, that's where I think the bar is set for Jaxson Dart. As bad as it's been for the Giants, just don't be embarrassingly bad. Make some flash plays. Show me the arm talent that he's got. Make a little plays with your legs. He's pretty athletic. I think people might not know that about him.
For sure.
And sort of manage the game. If you take some risk and you throw an interception down the field, it's not going to be the worst thing. But if you go out there and it's embarrassing, you throw 3 picks, or you look like you're not prepared, or you're struggling to operate within the system, then it becomes much more cause for concern. But I think that bar has been set so low for the Giants that Jaxson Dart should be able to excel on those expectations.
So as a New Yorker, I feel like I'm given the ability to say this, and under normal circumstances, I agree. But you're taking it for the New York fans being sane, and they're not that. We all know this. Like, under normal circumstances, if a guy at the 24th, 21st overall pick, later part of the first round, you put him in there, you let him take his lumps, and if he shows you some things in the future, you know. But he goes 1-5 or 0-6, and he starts getting hammered around pretty good. That New York fan base is not patient, where they're going to say, he did make a good throw in here. I mean, look how fast they turned on Zach Wilson. Look how fast they turned on
everybody in the New York market.
You name him. Yeah.
But if he goes 1-5, who are the Giants fans going to be coming for?
Oh, well, Daboll's dead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's where I think you've got, like, they're not going to be coming after Jaxson Dart because he's a rookie. Hey, he's played bad. This has got to be Daboll's fault. He's got to go.
Right.
He's got to go. So I do think that gives him some leeway there of the criticism, because I think Brian Daboll will take the brunt of that.
Yeah, and I thought about this entire thing. I got right to where you are right now, and it led me down this other path. And if that happens, any thoughts on a coach for the Giants next? I have one.
I'm curious to hear where you go. I will say this. If you were this close to firing, there's a couple orders, because the Titans are about to fire their coach too, Brian Callahan. If you're going to draft a quarterback in the first round, start with a new coach. Like, why are you going to set a quarterback back for an entire year of development, have him learn an entire new system? If you're going to draft a quarterback in the first round, either make sure you've got the right coach, and if there's any doubt about it, then bring in the new coach with the quarterback so they can learn together, develop together. Because it's so challenging. The jump from college to the NFL, physically, sure, it's tricky. But the biggest jump is mental.
Yeah.
And the first part is learning your playbook. You have to learn the new terminology, the new verbiage. It's so complex. It's so complicated. Then you have to approach the defenses that you're facing as well. But if you have to learn an entire new language, an entire new system, when you just learned a new one, I think it totally sets you back.
Well, that brings us back to what we said a little while ago. I think the GM and the head coach are tied at the hip.
Absolutely.
So I think it was a Joe Shane decision. I think both of them probably sat. They would never do this in front of the cameras, but they had to know, we'll draft this guy in the first. We really like him, and he'll give us new life if things start to go bad. But that's, again, why I thought it should be pushed back. I think we saw that with the last guy, probably somebody we may touch on a little bit later in the show. Daniel Jones had success with the Giants for a little bit. Then it was head coach 1, head coach 2, OC 1, OC 2, GM 1,
it's a revolving
GM 2.
door.
It's like, how no stability, no continuity, and how do you expect success from a guy when that happens?
All right, who's your name? Who are you going for?
Dude, my name is a guy who every year gets all the young quarterbacks in a room and picks them apart. He's free right now. He's tailor-made for New York, and his name is Chucky. John Gruden. No, you don't think so?
I would love to see it. I think he's a great coach. I think he's great with quarterbacks. I think he's crushing it right now with Barstool. He's doing an absolutely phenomenal job. The lawsuit with the NFL is that prohibitive, because John Gruden made it known just a month ago that he wanted to coach in the SEC in college. I just wonder if the relationship with the NFL and the way he was cast aside,
Yeah.
if that prohibits him from going to any NFL team. Because I do think he'd be a great fit in New York.
Right.
I do think he'd be great for a young quarterback. I think his mentality is something the New York Giants could use right now.
Right. And that young quarterback, there's clips of him where he's really testing him on
Yeah.
the board, and he loved his answers. I mean, he came back with a little moxie, which is exactly what you need from a quarterback in New York. We talked about it last week. You know, few and far between are the Elis who can kind of just show up and just do their thing. But to have a little flash, and you talked about it with Baker last week,
Yeah.
that's what you need in your quarterback, I think, in 2025. And I think he'd be a great fit, and I think he'd be great with Jaxson Dart.
Do you think the Giants are able to turn this around anyway where they can approach 5 or 6 wins?
Man, the Giants are a mess over there, man. I think but the game.
So ultimately, my question is, do you think Daboll survives this?
No, I think he probably doesn't. I think his only saving grace is Jaxson Dart, and that's again why I thought this was going to be later in the year. I mean, still I'm going to throw an extra guy over the top of Malik Neighbors, say he's not going to beat me. What's the Giants running back's name?
That's a problem.
What's their number 2 receiver?
Cam Scatterbo now, though, right?
Right. Scatterbo's nasty. I actually like him a lot.
I like him too.
But like this is the thing. It's Darius Slayton. It's
Right.
Jalen Hyatt. It's Wan'Dale Robinson, and it's their offensive line gets beaten like a drum every week. So no, I don't think it goes good there. I mean,
so then why are we upset at Brian Daboll? And why did we send Daniel Jones packing? Because it seems like it's been the same problem for several years now.
Right.
It isn't just one position. It isn't just one coach.
Sure.
It seems like the personnel they're working with, not to go on a side tangent, but you mentioned it, and I just followed up on it. The roster on the offensive side is not great. But I do think they're probably gonna make a change with Brian Daboll, and we'll see what direction they go.
midway through the year, or you think he makes it through? To the
It
end?
depends on how bad it gets.
Yeah.
Like if they can win a game or two here or there, look competitive, if they're losing close, then yes. But to me, the biggest concern when you start off 0-3, at what point, and if you get to, I don't think they're going to beat the Chargers. The Saints is a winnable game.
That's
why I thought you should have waited one more week. But if you were looking to make this move, what if Russ somehow pulls off a miracle against the Chargers? That could move it back, but that's a good thing.
I was going to say, is that the worst thing?
Right.
I mean, I always go back to it. I'm a big proponent of letting that rookie quarterback bake a little bit, man.
Yeah.
Patrick, Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers. You can go back as far as Steve McNair and Phillip Rivers, guys who didn't play at the beginning, and they didn't look completely overmatched when they came in. You let him touch the grass a little bit while he's in there. Throw him in for a couple of packages. Let him see the speed of the game. And in any blowouts, there's sure to be blowouts too. You'll get him some run. I don't think it had to happen this year at all, but
there is no formula though.
Right.
There really isn't, because Peyton Manning went 1-15 his rookie year. Troy Aikman went 1-15 his rookie year. Like there is you never know what's going to work. Other guys have waited and gotten their opportunity and it didn't work. Like you just never know. But the best part you can do is get him some talent around him.
That's it.
The thing that concerns me with the Giants is if they throw the talent and the team quits, and then all of a sudden Jaxson Dart's running for his life, he gets banged up, and it starts to really impact his confidence, not only mentally, but physically. The lack of protection, that concerns me for him long term.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I haven't seen that from them yet. I don't think. They have a lot of young, hungry guys. They got guys like Scatterbo and Dart and a lot of young. I mean, I guess the only upside to not having established stars is everybody's still playing for their NFL lives. So you got to assume that a Cam Scatterbo is going to go out every week trying to kill somebody and win.
Right.
Same thing with the Giants' young O-line, and them young receivers are trying to get to their second and third contracts. Like these guys aren't really established players where it's like we can mail it in and we're good for next year. Like who do they have other than Neighbors maybe who will do that, right?
Right.
The rest of these guys are still fighting to stay in the league. So
all right, so that is the biggest news out of the NFL.